Thank you very much for making the time to join us tonight. My name is Grace Nzula. I'm a HR consultant with Atara Solutions. You are tuned in to Get It Right with Atara Solutions, which is a webinar series that seeks to demystify issues in employment and entrepreneurship. We do this every Tuesday from 8 o'clock, and we are on season 8. And tonight, we have been learning different things. We are still starting the year, so we have done financials for the year. And today we just want to make sure that you're being productive, not just being busy. And that is what Coach Helen will be taking us through this evening. And of course, we are here with Mr. Richard, my co-host. Maybe Richard, you can introduce yourself.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Richard Magoma here. I hope you've had a fantastic Tuesday. Here we are to demystify efficiency, effectiveness without being busy. Every time you call somebody, I'm busy. But are you getting money out of being busy? My name is Richard Magoma. I am an HR professional. I train people to speak well so that they can get those very inspiring things. Thank you. Over to you, Grace.
All right, thank you very much, Richard. Now, before we go on to learning how to stop being extreme, to quit the busyness and become more effective. Before we get there, I want to invite you guys to our webinar, or rather our mentorship program called the Growth Grid Mentorship Program. This is an 8-week mentorship program that takes place once a week, and it's very intense and requires your dedication. We do peer mentorship, we do support from the mentors, and we also get to network and learn from one another as well. And our session is starting on the 8th of on the 4th of March, not 8th, on the 4th of March. This is a Zoom session. You can check out our WhatsApp group, Get It Right with Atara Solutions, for more details. And I would like to also invite you to the International Workplace Digital Summit that will be happening in Zanzibar from 25th to 27th of February. This is going to be an amazing platform to network, an amazing platform to learn about how to digitize your workplaces and just collaborate between the system where we're working with, say, for example, IT people, HR people. How can we help digitize our processes, and what is happening in the world of HR on matters digital? So that's going to be happening in Tanzania, Zanzibar, from the 25th of February. And we are hoping to soon host you for other things. But for now, those are the two major things that I wanted to bring to your attention. And you can check out our social media pages or our WhatsApp group and for more information. Of course, if you want to partner with Get It Right with Atara Solutions, you're welcome. We would like to hear from you. Of course, we have our partners in Uganda, Mr. Herbert Zeke, who runs the organization called Steadfast Quality Solutions. And Steadfast Quality Solutions will help you recruit for board members, train your board members, and help you in capacity building in your organizations. So Herbert Zake is also a Gallup Strengths coach. If you're looking for a coach, he has coached over 500 executives, and that is Herbert for you. Please get in touch with Steadfast Quality Solutions or with us to give you a link to Herbert. And of course, we have K2 Square Services, our partner in Rwanda. If you're looking to partner or collaborate with a partner in Rwanda, then K2 HR Services will be able to support you on that. So at this point in time, allow us to introduce our speaker, Madam Helen. She's not new to Get It Right. She has actually written a book on goal setting, which she took us through, I don't know, I think it was last year, but one. And you can actually get to learn. That book does not grow old, I can tell you for a fact. And she has soft copies and she has hard copies. So you choose your hard, whether you want the hard copy or the soft copy, because it helps you be intentional. And we have said that 2026 cannot be your year if you continue doing the same things you have always done. Yeah? if you continue doing the same things you have always done, if you continue just that one that we say, you're just shouting amen and doing nothing about anything, you will continue shouting amen as you wait for things to happen, and they will not happen for you. So this year is a year that we are being very deliberate, and we are choosing to do things differently, because that is how we are going to achieve our goals and make our time on earth matter. So at this point in time, allow me to invite Coach Helen to tell us how to be more productive in our areas of work. Karibu, Helen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. And so without further ado, I would like to start us off with a quick story. But before I do that, let me just share my screen. Okay, great. So we're going to be talking about rethinking personal productivity. And the first question, probably a bit of a rhetorical question, is what if everything you learned about productivity was designed for the wrong person? And I will explain to you why. So let's start with the statistics. So I want to share about the productivity trap we've been told. I mean, this is something I think all of us have experienced in one way or the other. So we've been told a lie. So a lot of times we've been told that productivity is actually doing more. So look at these statistics from three different groups. So there's Deloitte that says 70% of professionals feel overwhelmed regularly. 39% of the time spent on actual primary job duties, and 28% of the work week is consumed by emails alone. So I don't know where you fall into this. It could be all of them, it could be one of them. But the truth is, the problem is not that we're not doing enough. It's really that we are confusing motion with progress. When we tick boxes, we actually think we've made progress. But whatever we are doing, is it the thing that we say this has had the highest return on investment? Now, let's talk about what productivity is not. So we start by clearing some myths. For example, having a packed calendar means that you are that you are actually productive. You're actually not productive. If anything, having a packed calendar basically means that you probably haven't exercised the boundary of saying no. You haven't learned how to say no, but as well, you have either also not been able to prioritize. The second myth is responding to emails instantly. The moment it pops, because you have maybe not, what is it called? Notifications. So every short while you're typing, a notification comes in that there's an email that has come. And because you want to look like you're really doing something, you actually end up responding to it instantly. Now, what that does is that you create what is called constant availability. So that constant availability fragments your attention and prevents you from exercising what we call deep work or deep focus. Then we have working longer hours. We tell ourselves that every time we are working longer hours, we are actually being productive. Little do we know that after we do our 50 hours, and there's a reason that our employment law says we need to be working 40 hours, and probably for security, the people who work in the security section probably work a few extra hours, but the majority of us are under the 8-hour shift. However, a lot of us do not even work within those 8-hour shifts. We do 12 to 18-hour shifts of work because we work in the office, and then after that, we go back home and then we continue working. So what that does is productivity actually drops sharply. So we lie to ourselves that more hours equals to more output. If anything, more working hours actually create room for, say, more errors. So more errors, you're very fatigued, you end up probably also not being in the right state of mind to get the work done, which means you end up compromising the quality of your work. The other myth is multitasking everything, what we now call task switching. So our brains are not wired for multitasking. For a very long time, when job advertisements have been done, and I still see that to date, there's always a sort of disclaimer that's written, someone who can multitask. To me, that's a red flag, because if you say you're going to multitask, fine, you might get the work done, but is it quality? Is it the best of you? Or what that does is that we end up switching so rapidly that we actually lose 40% efficiency. So, what is productivity? So, the most simplified way to describe productivity is basically making intentional progress, of course, towards outcomes that align with your values and goals, but also being able to do the right thing that brings the highest return on investment or that moves the needle forward. So it's not actually about doing more, it's about doing what matters, what will move the needle forward. So there are three essential elements to productivity. One is direction. So direction is all about clarity. So it gives you clarity on what actually matters to you or what actually matters and gets done. The next one is execution. Execution is about effective systems that move you forward. If you move away from that task, can the next person be able to do it? Most likely, yes, because there's a system that actually works. The third one is energy. Energy over time management, as I always say. Why? Time, you can't expand time. But when it comes to energy, you need to understand that sustainable practices will help prevent sustainable energy practices will help prevent burnout. A lot of us actually don't understand our energy peaks and our energy peaks. That is, so think about it this way. In the morning when you're traveling to work, and this is mostly people who are commuting, driving to work, whichever way, but you need to be in your office physically. So what we normally say, at that hour, because of traffic and things like that, it is peak hours. However, in the evening, maybe say between 2 and 3 p.m., it may be low peak hours. So if, for example, you are commuting by matatu, you might likely pay less fare. If you're driving, you might likely spend less time on the road. What am I trying to say? You need to understand, when am I at my best energy so that I can do the high focus things, and when am I at my lower energy so that I do what we call administrative tasks. Very, very important. Just because somebody has said you'll get more done by waking up early in the morning, it doesn't benefit you. Think about that. Can easily be what we call a productivity hack. Until you understand your energy, then even waking up at 5 in the morning may not necessarily benefit you because it may not be your peak hour. So, what is a framework for rethinking our productivity? So, I'm going to share a couple of shifts and also an operating system. Hopefully, I can keep it within the time. So, the first shift is to manage your energy, not just your time. So, time is finite, energy fluctuates. Why? Well, for example, there are those of us who call ourselves early birds, and then the other group, we are maybe there's somebody whose energy peaks are from midday, and another person, they are a night owl. They can get so much done. So the moment you understand that, then you're able to put that energy into the time that you have. The beauty about time, I don't know whether this is the right word to use, but time has a way of universalizing all of us. Whether you are rich, poor, busy, boss, subordinate, wherever you are, whatever position you hold, we all get to have the same 24 hours. So when you understand when your energy is high and when your energy fluctuates, you're able to actually get more done. You're able to get the right things done. So you can't create more hours, but you can protect your peak energy for what matters most. Your peak energy is ideal for what is it called? Your peak energy is ideal for doing the things that bring the highest return on investment, the highest benefit, but also the tasks that we regard as complex. So, track your energy levels. That's the first exercise I will ask you to do in the course of this 1 week or the next 7 days. 14 days, whichever works best for you. Track your energy levels for 1 week or more and see when you feel most alert. Now, because you are trying to, and it's a kind of audit that you're doing, you will get to realize maybe in the early in the morning, I am able to do this. In the evening, I am able to do this. So from then on, you can actually now be able to know at what point do I fiercely need to protect my time. Okay, so I want to give you to share a quick story. So I want you to think about this gentleman called Marcus. He's a talent director, and he discovered that he had peak creative energy from 9 to 11 a.m. So instead of filing the documents that he was used to doing at that time, and of course with meetings, he blocked it for strategic work. So high focus work can also be what we call strategic work. And so at the end of the day, he was able to design a new program to solve complex problems. So a lot of times, it is not that we don't know how to get certain things done. It is because we are doing them at the wrong energy peak. If you are trying to create, for example, if you're in IT and you're trying to create a program, you probably need to be creating that program at your best energy peak. But if you're creating it, maybe you have just come from, you've been in traffic for 2 to 3 hours, so you have sort of breathed in all the fumes, honking on the road, people who are maybe struggling with things like road rage. So you're already very stressed. So trying to even put that code on the program you're creating might be such a difficult process simply because you picked the wrong energy time. So in this case, Marcus was able to accomplish more by 11 a.m. than he used to in a full day. And it's important to note that on any given day, well, unless maybe you're doing something a little different, each one of us has about 4 hours of deep focus. Like you can actually achieve 4 to 5 hours maximum a day of deep focus. But I think it's also fair to agree that when we're in the office, sometimes it's almost impossible to achieve that. Now, when I say 4 to 5 hours, I don't mean nonstop. I mean like breaking it down into say time blocks of 90 minutes each. And this varies from one person. There's somebody who can only do a 30 minutes time block, another 60, another 90 minutes, another 2 hours. It depends on your situation and also depends on your energy levels. So the second shift is to build priority systems, not task lists. When we get to the office, one of the first things that we do is we actually write a to-do list. Nothing wrong with a to-do list. The challenge with the to-do list is because we have not put like a limit, we just keep writing and writing and writing. So even when you have achieved your most important tasks for the day, you keep feeling like you haven't done much because you simply did not build a priority system. So imagine here now, a 30-item to-do list creates anxiety, not action, because you feel like you're actually not making any progress. So think about the Pareto principle, which tells us 20% of the tasks that you do actually create 80% of the results. So this means this is where you should be placing your focus. So the MIT method, which is the 3 most important things for the day. So every morning, ask yourself, if I only accomplished 3 things today, what would make today successful and what would those things be? Those are your MITs. Do them fast before sending that email, before attending meetings, before getting yourself distracted, or before the office gets so busy that you're distracted. And everything else that needs to get done many times over is secondary. Now, shift 3, choose deep focus over constant switching. So we often task switch a lot. You start something, then you remember, oh, there was this thing, oh, there was this thing. And this was something I personally struggled with for a very long time until I learned to have something called an idea book. So for me, an idea book is actually a notebook I put on the side. So it allows me to do 2 things. So if an idea comes to mind that I know will actually distract me, I quickly write it down, and everything else I'm thinking, it's actually a form of brain dump. And then it allows me to get back to my work. So, what I've done is I've actually created a lighter load on my brain without without losing my trail of thought. So I quickly wrote down, say for example, I was supposed to do a certain project with someone, and I remembered that one we needed a particular resource for that project. So what I end up doing now is I write project ABCD. We were supposed to do 1 to 3. I have identified that I can pick this resource from so and so. And then I put a full stop to that, and now I come back to my work. What I'm also doing is avoiding a case scenario of overpowering my brain, not overpowering, but overloading my brain so that I am able to continue working. So one of the things that happens, and this is based on extensive research, every time you task switch, it takes an average of 23 minutes for you to come back to focus. So imagine every time someone disrupts or interrupts you in the office, how many 23 minutes cycles do you have to go through before you're actually able to get your work done? So here's one of the things that you can do. And remember that multitasking reduces productivity by 40%. Now, the thing about multitasking, task switching, is you find that you you probably start 5 different tasks, but you never actually finish any of them. So at the end of the day, your brain is overstimulated because you never actually got to finish anything. But at the same time, you're experiencing anxiety because maybe there's somebody who is asking, did you get this done? When can I expect it? We are past the deadline. So the deep work protocol, or deep work focus, as I like to call it, think about 90 minutes, 90 minutes blocks. This is what we call time blocking. You can consider working with time blocks of, and the time blocks don't just have to be even in the office, depending on what time you wake up. For example, many days over, I'll wake up maybe between 4 to 5 in the morning. So I know between 4 and 5:30, it's a very quiet time. So I can be able to do something like, say, my personal growth reading or my morning writing. I am currently writing a book. And so what that means, I need very high focus, quiet time to be able to write my chapters. Perhaps I'm thinking, let me write a chapter a day. And maybe if I was writing that book if I was writing 10 chapters, likelihood within 10, 15 days, because of assigning this 90 minutes, I might actually be done with my book, or I might just need just a few more days to finish. It is amazing what deep focus can do for you. A lot of times we think we don't have the capacity to get certain things done, but all we need to do is go that extra mile and focus. Then, while you're doing the 90 minutes focus, ensure there are no notifications, silence everything, remove notifications, the ringtones, so that you're able to focus on this one thing. If there's nothing else you're going to be able to do, at least you can say, I had this one block of focus and I was able to do something. And then single task. Now, the beauty about single tasking is your mind is focused on that one thing. But before you single task also, I encourage you to identify all the resources that you need, basically everything that you need to get that assignment done, so that you avoid something called wasted motion. Okay, now wasted motion is this. So you remember that you needed to refill your water bottle. You needed to go to the kitchen and get yourself a cup of tea, and you needed to walk to your colleague's desk to get a certain part of maybe the data that you're filling into the assignment that you're doing. An intelligent person is actually going to do those 3 things in one trip. But a lot of us, we sit, you go get the paper with the data, you sit and like, oh, I needed water. Then you go to the water hole and you find somebody and you start chatting. Then you come back, you put your water bottle. Then you remember, wait, there was that cup of tea. Before you know it, 30 minutes are lost. I see somebody is laughing because they can relate. So yes, then, so just remember that even one 90-minute deep work session per day can actually be very, very transformative. So shift 4, set strategic boundaries, not constant availability. So a lot of times we struggle with actually saying no. We think that having boundaries is being unkind to other people or is being selfish. It is not. It's actually self-sabotage. If you're going to do anything for yourself, so remember, we normally say you cannot pour from an empty cup. So one of the things you have to do is you have to have time to grow yourself. You have to have time to do that assignment in order for you to be able to make your contribution. At what point are you going to be able to make that contribution if you're not if you're not giving yourself time? So constant availability is not service. It's actually self-sabotage. Boundaries are not selfish, but I can also tell you when you create boundaries, you're going to experience resistance. But the most important thing is to stick to them. So they are how you protect your ability to deliver your best work. So, what does this look like? For example, have communication windows. Check your email, for example, 3 times a day. This could be something like 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m. instead of checking constantly. The other thing is calendar blocking. Block your calendar so that your focus time is a meeting with yourself and treat it as a very sacred time. All right. Then have transparent expectations. Share your schedule with your team and normalize healthy boundaries. Now, if there's anyone in the room here who is either managing a team, you're a supervisor, you're a director, you're a manager, you're supposed to be on the forefront of showcasing this. Oftentimes in organizations, when we set a meeting and we can't see who I'm having that meeting with, we quickly block a meeting on top of that. I would say that that's a bit disrespectful because you are putting pressure on that person to deliver, but you're stealing into their time, which they had set aside to actually focus. The other very interesting thing, and I picked this up in a certain organization, a financial organization, where they were told no Wednesday meeting day. So ideally what the organization was pushing for is, we know there are very many meetings that happen, but we've set aside Wednesday and said there will be absolutely no meetings on Wednesday so that people can focus and get the work done. So for you, I don't know which day it is. So think about it and set aside that. The other thing also about boundaries is, ask yourself, do you need to be in that meeting? Sometimes all you need to do is to actually empower your team and say, look, I have faith in you. Go ahead and facilitate the meeting. If you need my input, come back and let me know, and then I can share my thoughts on that. What you're also doing is building your team in the process. Then build systematic effectiveness, not just personal hacks. A lot of us often think we will thrive from productivity hacks. Productivity hacks will only work for a time. So think about this. You can't hack your way out of a broken system. And this is from, and when I say system, I actually mean both organizational level, personal level. And when I say personal level, I also mean this extends to your home. So individual productivity requires organizational support. Depending on what you're doing, whether you are running your own business, you still need a village to support you. And this is where HR also becomes a hero. So let me explain a little about culture eats strategy for breakfast and your to-do list for lunch. So this is a term that was actually coined by Peter Drucker, and what it means is it's basically talking about the internal culture of a company. So the shared values, the behaviors, the attitudes of its people. And what those things do, they are very influential in determining the success of an organization rather than any strategy or business plan that you ideally would come up with. So even the best strategies will fail if they conflict with the organization's values. So think about culture the way sometimes culture is how we put it. How do we put it? This is how we do things here. This is how we support each other. Those are culture. That's a culture. That's values that we have built. Yeah. And so very, very important to note that. So when it comes to HR, why do we say HR is the heart of the business, is a support system in many, many levels? So one of the things that HR can do in becoming a hero is empowering the leaders, okay? Empowering your team leaders. So number one is question the meeting culture. Do we have to have this meeting? Do we need a 60-minute meeting? Why can't we try a 25-minute meeting or even a meeting when we are standing? Now, the beauty of standing is we don't like standing for too long. So we may not even come with our cups of tea to the meeting room. We come, we discuss the 2, 3 agendas. One of the things that we can do to manage meetings is one, always share the agenda at least 1 to 3 days in advance so that everybody is aware of their contribution. Avoid too many AOBs. Only allow any other business or additional agendas only if they're very, very important to mention. Then normalize focus hours. When calendars show blocked time, respect it like any other meeting. If your team member, your team leader, your colleague has blocked a meeting, please do not go there and say this is the only meeting time I can see, so you need to cancel your meeting and show up for this. So let's respect each other's space in order to be able to conquer and succeed. Then measure outcomes, not activity. Sometimes we are so busy micromanaging people. Why are you talking to the other person? I gave you an assignment, you haven't finished it. We are adults, we need to be treated as such, but as well be given room to deliver. So let's stop counting hours and start counting the impact that our teams and we as individuals are also creating. Then model the behavior. We are often told set examples. Many times we find people preaching water but drinking wine. So this is where we model the behavior. So if as HR practitioners, for example, if the leaders are not doing their part, then we need to help them model that behavior, because if leaders don't take breaks or boundaries, no one else will do it either. You find that employees sometimes choose to stay longer in the office because the boss is still there, even when their contract letter clearly stated your work hours are 8 to 5. Okay. Okay. Now, because of time, I'm going to jump that other part, but I will share information for that. So what is your personal action plan? You don't need to implement everything at once. If you decide to do all of them, you're going to get frustrated and things might not work the best for you. So the best thing you can do, I will challenge you, is you pick one shift that has resonated with you, and then that has resonated with you and probably also resonates with your current pain point. Your pain point could be you have this very long to-do list. It could be you don't have the boundaries. You're struggling with setting boundaries. Whichever it is, pick the shift and work with that one. Now, after you have picked a pace, you can then move to the next one, and the next week, track what has changed and notice what feels different. Now, the thing is, the only way this action plan is going to work is when you're very intentional. Now, we are living in a society or in an era where you can use a notebook, you can use your smartphone, whatever works for you, use it. But make sure you have somewhere where you're tracking what changes, because we normally say what gets measured gets done, and you can't measure if you're not tracking what you're doing. So notice what feels different and then refine your approach. Please note you're not going to perfect this within the first, second, or third attempt, but the most important thing is extend grace to yourself, stay consistent, and then watch the changes happening. And interestingly is that a lot of these changes probably are they happen very slowly. It's so easy to miss them until maybe somebody comments one day and says, oh, wow, I noticed these days you're very efficient. You get things done on time and you still do not look stressed or burnt out. Then on the third week or the fourth week, depending on your desired pace, add a second shift or deepen your practice for the first one. Best thing is I like to say that practice makes improvement, not perfect, because sometimes we're so focused on perfection, we actually miss out on actually learning how to get something done because we are waiting for the day it is actually going to be very perfect. So this is about deepen your practice and make sure you're good. And then from good, you move to great. Then now you take the next shift. So remember that small, consistent changes compound into transformation. Finally, as I finish, your key takeaways for today is this. Productivity is really not about doing more things. It's actually about doing what matters and what moves the needle forward. The next thing is your energy. Focus on your energy, not your time. When you know your right energy peaks, then it becomes the most valuable resource for you. Next is 80% of your results will always come from 20% of your efforts. So focus there to make sure you're doing the right thing and what really matters. Boundaries, remember, boundaries is a big struggle for a lot of us. Remember, so allow me to mention this. Think about boundaries like a fence, an invisible fence that protects you, protects those around you, and protects you sometimes from yourself, from your family members, and from everybody else around you, because boundaries vary from one situation to the other. Boundaries at work are very different from the boundaries you have at home and with your family. So boundaries are not selfish, but a strategic protection for your best work. It gives you room to give your best. Then remember that individual hacks can only probably solve one or two. So let me change that a little bit and say this. Individual hacks are like a band-aid, a short-term quick fix kind of band-aid, but it's not a long-term strategy for you to be able to succeed. So it will not fix a broken system. Just as we say, culture must change in order for systemic shift. And lastly, you don't have to implement everything. Just start with one shift. Thank you so much for listening. Over to you, Nzola.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry.
Oh. Go ahead, Richard. It's fine. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it. Multitasking is a complete scam. It is something that takes your energy. The other thing I've learned, hacks. People love hacks, actually even myself. But hacks cannot solve a broken system. Probably you can elaborate those two, because people love, even job descriptions, you will see, you must be a person who knows how to multitask. The other bit, I have several hacks, and you've told us that a broken system cannot be fixed by hacks. Those two concepts, as we wait for the rest to ask questions.
All right, thank you, Richard. So I think I'll repeat that statement, then now I expound it. Individual hacks cannot fix broken system, hence a culture change requires systemic shifts. So I want you to think about, actually, here is a very practical example. So we work long hours, and because we are working long hours, we have now gotten to the point where we are glorifying working long hours, and long hours translate to burnout. So burnout, and then we don't want to accept it's burnout. Case in point, in one of the FMCGs, I think this was last year, an employee had a total mental breakdown and decided to say everything she had on her mind to her boss. Now, lucky for her, she had the kind of a boss who was gracious enough to understand that this person is exhausted, and so we will give them time. Unfortunately, this employee had actually to be admitted in hospital for 3 days. Why? Because we have glorified overworking ourselves to burnout, and it's a very, very toxic trait. So what are we doing? We are waiting. We are now finding ourselves saying, oh, okay, since I think I'm feeling very exhausted, let me ask for leave for 2 days, 2 to 3 days. So I will go home. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to rest. But here is what happens. We don't switch off our phones. And because we probably didn't do a proper handover, or you're the only person, quote unquote, you're the only person who can handle that task, what actually happens is people keep calling you. So the only difference is you're not in the physical workplace, but you're still in work mode. So you're not resting. And then when you get to the house, you find you have 50,000 other things that needed your attention. We have gotten to a point where we have not been taught that it is okay to rest. So I will change this a little bit and say, and I think this is a proverb that is in a lot of our cultures. I have had it said very, very many times, and this is a lot of times in reference to women. And this is what they normally say: a woman rests when she dies. So translate it in your respective communities. You understand what I'm trying to say. Now, here is a problem with that statement. We then come back, and when we say we are exhausted or we need to rest, we are made to feel like we are lazy. Okay? And so what happens? The system ends up now being broken, because when I am resting, because there's nothing I am doing, I am being lazy. And yet, in order for me to recreate, to rejuvenate my creativity and be able to do more and reach my work and reach my position, I need a kind of downtime where I fully rest, where I'm fully rested and rejuvenated in order to be able to achieve. So a broken system is simply the little things we are doing, and then they end up piling. We glorify toxic workplaces. Because I left early, now I'm not delivering. Because my boss hasn't left and I left before the boss, it becomes a problem. So this culture thing, it has to start from us individually. If you're the leader of your team, then you have to be the person who has to either bring it to the attention of your team. If you're the individual, start asking yourself, how do I want to change this? Because you cannot treat an allergy with Piriton and then expect that tomorrow it will not come back. You have to find the root cause. Over to you.
Yes, Grace.
It's very interesting because only today, I had a training somewhere and I was also talking about managing energy over time. I think one of the things, but in a different context, it's pretty much the same, because we're talking about how we can help our teams perform. And one of the things is being able to manage energy, because you get from people as much as they're able to give you, to be honest. Even if you push them to the wall, there's a limit to how much they can give you. So it is very interesting. That is also one of the things that we are doing here today. Maybe it is also a reminder to myself and the other people that we need to manage energy over time. But now, Helen, let me ask you. So, for example, I am just starting a new business. I am an employee. I've started a new business because the economy needs support. I am also a wife. I am a mother. I am a daughter. I am a friend. How do I bring all these things together and be able to still be productive, and be able to bring in my best self in all these areas?
Great question you've asked, Ntula. It's a big struggle because we wear so many hats. Whether you are a gentleman or a lady, we wear a lot of hats. But I think the women tend to carry more of those hats than the men. But here's the thing. So the first thing I like to say, there's a saying that says it takes a village to raise a child. The same thing, it takes a village for you to be successful. So what does building systems mean? It means identifying your village in every area of your life. For example, I have young children. My children are below 10 years. I want to come home and do everything with them, but it's not possible. So it got to a point where I had to make a decision and say, okay, so who is my village? My village is my relatives, my friends. So there are those who live near, and then there are those who live far. Now, a lot of times you find people are willing to help you, but are only able to do so when you say, I need help, and this is the kind of help I need. A lot of us are afraid to actually ask for that help. There is nothing wrong with asking for help, but it's also important as a recipient of the help to be able to say, this is how much I can help you, or this is the kind of help that I need. So build a village, and a village is part of your system. For example, I'll give you a practical example. One time, one of my children was unwell, and I was in town. So all I did was reach out to our house manager and say, you know where the doctor's place is, pick the card, and let's meet there. because my coming home would have meant that I would probably have been in traffic for 2 hours. But what we ended up doing, we saved an hour and a half, and we met at the hospital, and the child was able to get treatment. So what did I do? I have my house manager as part of my village. Also, there's also looking at who who else can do what I am doing. And this is about delegation. Many times over, we want to hold on to everything because either we feel that it gives us a higher advantage, it makes our title stronger. And yet, as my boss used once, one of my bosses used to say, you only have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, you can only do so much. So none of us are superwoman or superman. We can only do so much. So I understand what work needs to be delegated. Then there's the element of prioritization. There are so many things that we are fighting against, and we find that we have what is called a mental load. So mental load is when, what's been cooked today? Oh, my husband needed this. Oh, my colleagues need this. So you find you're basically the person who is carrying the decisions for everybody. And I believe a lot of you can relate to what I am saying. Sometimes what you need to do is to say, okay, so is to write down, do a brain dump. These are all the things that need to be done. So you write down and then you realize, oh, okay, I have 30 items, 30 things that need my attention. But do all these things need my attention right now? Now start categorizing them into P1. P1, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. Now, once you categorize, now look and say, which ones can only be done by me? Then the others, who else can do them? Now, understand that, again, you cannot do everything. And the most important thing is to remember, I am doing the best with what I have in the season I am. Okay? So the moment you remember that, then you stop feeling like you need to be this super person who has to fulfill everything. You will otherwise break down. Then also, again, it's about the boundaries. Now, we come from an African society where whenever there's a family get together, we believe we all have to be there. Yeah, or we have to, or not we all have to be there, but we have to be in all the gatherings. Sometimes all you can do is to say, I have a conflicting engagement, I will not be able to make it. And sometimes no is a complete answer. You don't have to over-explain yourself, because we stretch ourselves so thin, and then when we fall apart, nobody else can take over from where we left. I hope that answers your question.
Oops. Yes, it does. And there's a question on the Q&A. In my place of work, I see employee work without going on leave and even working until night. Is this normal? When they ask for leave, it's abrupt and they are office staff, not even field. What is wrong with these employees?
Okay, good question. Again, it is the glorification of, if I never take a break and I keep working, I will be seen as a very diligent employee. What we are not realizing is we are accumulating so much stress in our bodies that you see someone looking petite in their size, but when they go to the hospital, they have a myriad of conditions that you cannot even understand where did this come from. Because your body, the way our bodies have been created and wired, we are only supposed to be handling a certain level of stress. But now we are stressed every other day. So that one is glorifying work. And the other thing is, again, the same thing I was talking about earlier, the culture thing where when I say I need to take leave, now what are you taking leave for? Oh, and to you for a moment, if you're not even committed in a relationship, who are you going to attend to? Sometimes those are the questions will be asked. Who are you going to attend to? Why do you even need you're young. You just need to continue working. It doesn't matter your status. Rest is very important. But again, remember, a fish starts to rot from the head. If the leadership is not modeling that, then the same thing is likely going to trickle down and nobody sees anything wrong. Thirdly is the thing where, as organizations, we have taught as a policy, it is okay for people to cash their leave days. If I don't take leave for 30 days, that's a full month's salary. I'm sure I can push that project that has been pending. But money is not everything. So we need to be very, very careful. So I think it's also also HR in the organization requiring to champion that leave is very, very important. Lastly, there was a TikTok video. I think this was towards the end of the year where a lady collapsed in a meeting and that was it for her. Probably some of you saw it. Now, I may not know the full background of what transpired, but that is something that can happen when you find employees are not taking leave out of fear, out of glorification of work without realizing that it is important to rest. Over to you.
Yeah, I think we have a bit of an unlearning to do on this productivity aspect. And Washuka, oh, okay. I had seen like your hand was up, and Beryl, your hand is up, Washuka. Okay. We can allow you to speak. Go ahead, unmute yourself. Washuka Kamau?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I actually appreciate, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate what the host has already said in terms of work-life balance, if I would call it that. Like the reason as to why that has really resonated with me is because tomorrow I'm actually having a presentation somewhere. And one of the things I have noted as a HR professional is that we are really, really, sometimes some things may be beyond us because maybe the culture of the institution is really, really probably glorifying overworking. So you find that you're even being called for meetings at very wee hours of the night. And sometimes I feel like as a HR professional, I have that role, as she has said, that it is us to actually encourage a work-life balance. And people are starting to have burnouts. Some people you find they don't even have social lives, whether you're married or not, whether you have children or not. Everybody needs to rest. Everybody needs to relax, especially just having working from 8 to 5. So creating a culture of glorifying overworking and people having burnouts, it's something that I'm also hoping that I'll push tomorrow in a presentation I have somewhere, and I really hope they will not take it on a bad light. So I think it was very timely to also see that there are other people who are seeing the culture of glorifying overworking does not necessarily mean that you're productive. It doesn't mean that you are doing something. You could be seated in the office the whole day and basically running up and down and doing totally, or sometimes running up and down doing totally nothing. Yeah, so I do appreciate that the other people who see overworking is not necessarily something to glorify. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, Washuka. Thank you very much for that input. Yeah, I see Patrick saying what gets measured gets done. Felista says and what gets done gets tracked. And Mercy says that is so sad. What about where the boss is the person who disapproves the leave and it's really draining me as the HR?
Okay, I think a lot of us have struggled with that. Now, there are organizations where either top management does not appreciate the role of HR in the business. And one of the ways you can be able to handle this is, first of all, understand that just because someone is in a leadership position, it doesn't mean that they know how to manage everything. Sometimes as a HR person, you have to be the champion to manage them, and managing them from a perspective of showcasing how are the effects of either people not taking leave. One of the ways you can do that is to build a business case. There are very many, if you do your research on the internet, you can actually find business cases that showcase what happens when people don't take leave, and then give numbers. Numbers don't lie. Make sure you do your homework well. And one of the things that you'll find is, if you look at, say, for example, the productivity output of somebody who has gone on leave vis-a-vis someone who hasn't gone on leave, you can literally see the difference. You can measure the percentages, you can look at the quality of work. Now, there are bosses who are afraid that if this person goes on leave, one or two things will likely happen. Oh, nobody else can get this job done. This work is too sensitive, so we cannot hand it over to another person. But God forbid if that person were to leave Earth, what happens? yeah, and life has to continue. But the other thing also is other bosses refuse for their staff and their teams to go on leave because sometimes the element of them being incompetent will come out, like it will show so clearly. But this is not about sabotaging anybody. It's about showcasing that and probably also reminding them this is what the law says. I'd like to think that there's a reason that the earth was created, or rather, our creation happened for 6 days, and on the seventh day, we were told to rest because that was rest being modeled to us. So, in the same way, is being able to help the boss understand and don't be confrontational about it. Because if you're confrontational, they're either the owner of the business or they're the boss and they have an upper hand. They'll probably use that against you someday to come. Build a business case, use policy as backing. If there is no policy, create a policy and create a policy where you involve staff to get buy-in to help you sort of put that out as a rule, but also back it up with the employment law and all other laws that surround that, all other laws that surround that, because these things are there. And then also help them see it from a legal perspective. If we do not give this employee leave, these are the kind of things we might struggle with. And sometimes you'll also find the employee is one who doesn't want to go on leave. There are days you have to actually be very firm and say, leave is compulsory, and so you have to take the leave. Sometimes you may have the opportunity to tell staff, all of you who have leave days that are past this, please make sure you have reduced your leave days to this. And I see that happening up to, I think, the month of March. So look at it as an opportunity to build a case study, a business case study that you can share with your boss. Most bosses are very receptive when you're able to share the numbers with them. Over to you.
I have a question, Grace. Coach, there is this problem of not knowing what is resting. For example, somebody has come from work so that they can rest, but then again, this person, when at home, they will probably go to church and do the same work they were doing at work. So what is really resting? I know some companies provide they pay for a gym membership. What other ways can we rest? Totally rest, because sometimes it's a contradiction.
Okay. So resting, sometimes we think of resting as something that involves money. Like you've talked about the gym. There are companies that will pay for the gym and others will not. But understand this, sometimes going to the gym is not necessarily resting. Resting is actually doing something that will put your body and your brain into a state of relaxation so that you can be able to feel rejuvenated, to be able to do the next thing that you need to do, whether it is work, whether it is feeding your children, helping them out with homework. Now, what can rest look like? Rest can look like you coming home and taking a hot shower so that your body just gets into a relaxation mode. Resting can be taking a nap for 30 minutes. Resting can be meditating. You meditate or you just stay quiet for 30 minutes, an hour. Resting can be getting home, wearing your fitness gear and going for a walk, going for a run, going for a gym. I think the most important thing is to understand your own definition of rest, because rest means different things to people. Somebody else rest is taking a glass of something, water, wine, alcohol. It's different things for different people. But at the end of the day, does it put you in a state of relaxation so that you can be able to be yourself again? Over to you.
All right, thank you.
All right, very, very interesting. Now, Helen, as we come to the end of this conversation, I know we are a bit past time, but I want you to prepare your parting shot, but also to you, the people who have joined this webinar. Helen told us about the next steps you're going to take, because you probably need to really take action to be able to change this. And of course, don't forget to join our YouTube, or rather, we will share the recording. I saw somebody asking for the recording. We are going to share the recording. We normally upload the sessions on YouTube, and we are going to share it with you. And of course, don't forget to join the mentorship program that is happening from the 4th of March. It's an 8-week session that is virtual, so you can join from wherever part of the world you have tuned in from. But at this point in time, allow me to request Helen to give us a parting shot.
Okay, so I think my parting shot is this, that the most productive version of you is not the busiest version, it is the most intentional one. Okay. I don't know if I should repeat it. Actually, let me do that. The most productive version of you isn't the busiest version, it is the most intentional one. What that means is there will always be things fighting for your time and attention, but the most important is being very intentional. And let me comment about something someone said, work-life balance. Now, this might not be something that's good to say, but very important. Trying to achieve work-life balance is almost an impossible task. So instead of trying to achieve work-life balance, do something we call focus over balance. When you focus on the right things, you don't have to really overthink on balance. What actually happens, you will find that because you focus on the right things, you ended up now having time to do other things. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you want to get in touch with Coach Helen, please do so. She is on Instagram, on LinkedIn as
Helen Mwangi Dirango.
Yes, Helen Mwangi Dirango on LinkedIn. Please get in touch if you need support. She is a productivity coach. She has also written a book on goal setting, so you can always grab a copy for yourself and be able to be very intentional with your 2026. Because this is the year of change, but change will not happen if you keep doing things the way you have always done. It's got to be different. So get in touch with Coach Helen and have a conversation on what else you can do. And I am just going to repost the details because they've gone to host and panelists. So there you go. That is Helen's LinkedIn and her number. Violet Wanyama, you wanted to say something? We are about to close. Violet, is your hand up by mistake or okay, it's disappeared. Okay. All right, so you've heard from Helen, and we really are grateful that you could make the time to be with us. Please follow us on Instagram at Ara Solutions. Connect with the like our Facebook page. I was trying to think what we say for Facebook. Like our Facebook page at Ara Solutions. Connect with us on LinkedIn at Ara Solutions. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Get It Right with the Tara Solutions. And of course, join our WhatsApp group to get to know what's happening in Atara Solutions, because we are here again next Tuesday at 8 o'clock for another amazing conversation. As we look forward to the other on discussions around Valentine's. We cover everything because we believe you bring your whole self to work. So even Valentine is part of bringing your whole self to work. So and unfortunately Valentine is on a Saturday this year. So the flowers are not going to be coming to the office. My God, I used to enjoy watching those ones. But anyway, Richard, umepata mtu?
Also, we have been warned by CBK not to use money as flowers. That is completely safe for us. You don't make us get arrested.
And I'm very happy about that, yeah. Absolutely, you cannot receive a money bouquet anymore, unfortunately. So at this point in time, then please do not do that because we still need you around. But yes, we have quite an amazing lineup of topics and speakers for you as we build up to maximize the year that the Lord has given us. So thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Grace Nzula, and you're tuning to Get It Right with the Tara Solutions. See you next Tuesday for another amazing session. And of course, from Richard, ambia watu kwaheri.
Ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a good night and God bless you all. See you on Tuesday for another round of demystifying important and impactful ideas. Cheers.
Yes, and there is tea. You're not inviting people for tea.
Yes, there is coffee on the 13th. Come and network, come and create new friends, come and learn, come and also unlearn. On 13th, 1,000 shillings. You will learn and listen to very experienced speakers. Come and relax. It is part of relaxation, dear. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Good